Well, hi everyone, I'm Mayor Roger Reinhardt and want to welcome you to another episode of Welcome to Duluth. So you'll recall that we do these periodically throughout the year to try and introduce you to some different folks in our community who you might not have met, perhaps have heard of, maybe haven't. You know, we try to focus on a few different things. We try to highlight a city service. We try to talk about a major event in our community. We'll focus on some of our nonprofits, and we also like to highlight a few, really notable, inspiring, interesting individuals that are also Duluthians. And that is one of the folks that I have with me here today. So you may have heard of Bea Ojakangas, who is a noted author, cook, has multiple, I learned this before we started the podcast, the first person I've met who has a day named in her honor in the city of Duluth from Mayor Ness, Mayor Larson, and myself. So as far as I know, that's a record, an honorary degree from UMD that we also have with us today. But Bea, so thank you so much for making time to come and visit. I'm excited to get to know a little bit more about your story and some of the accomplishments you've had. And I know we have a few things that I want to make sure we highlight during our conversation. But why don't we just start by tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I'm so proud to have the same birthday as you.
I heard that before we started.
Yeah.
So folks, July 22nd, it's a pretty special day.
Yeah,
I'm now honored.
I've never
to share
met
it.
anyone else that has that same birthday.
So growing up, maybe this wasn't your challenge, but mine was always as a cusp in the horoscopes. I never knew which one I was supposed to follow.
I know, that's me too, yeah.
Okay.
It's between
Just pick the
Cancer
better,
and Leo.
right? Yeah.
Whichever one sounds better.
That's what I learned at about age 12. I'm going to pick whichever one I think works better for me today. So July 22nd, it's a good day. So, but we don't have any of those. We'll have to redo one of them, so July 22nd is your day.
Oh dear, yeah.
But tell us a little about yourself. Like what's the, as the kids say, what's the origin story?
What's the origin story?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote that in my book called Homemade. That's the last book that I ever did. And that tells a story of where I grew up, when I was born, my grandparents, I'm Finnish, Finnish background 100%. Mm-hmm. And our kids are 100% Finnish too, because I married a guy who was...
Married another Finn.
Yeah, another Finn. And it worked out really well. And so...
So are you originally from the...
I was born in Floodwood.
Okay.
Floodwood, Minnesota.
Okay.
And on a farm, I learned to cook on a wood stove.
Okay.
And, electricity was not, we had... an ice box was an ice box, because we cut ice out of the river in the wintertime and put it under my dad buried it in sawdust.
Okay.
To keep it cold all
the
rest of the year. And so that was, the ice box was an ice box, and it was really fun every time we got something new that was electric. I remember we got electricity in 1940.
Okay. Like you can remember when that became a game changer, right?
Yeah, it was. And so anyway, it was a nice farm in Floodwood, and I remember, I'm the oldest of 10.
Okay.
And
I'm the oldest of 7.
So we've got it. We're in the category.
Thing,
yeah. Those were the days. Mother was always having a baby.
Yeah. So growing up on a farm, I'm guessing probably a garden, homegrown produce,
all homegrown.
Some animals as well. So okay.
Yeah, and I grew up on venison basically. Because my mom would tell my dad, we're out of meat. He says, I'll take care of it tonight. And he'd go in one shot, and they butchered it themselves, and he never got... The game warden sometimes came to him and asked him if he would get some meat for some poor family that needed it.
Oh, sure.
So he did a lot of good stuff,
Do you, where along the line did you find, the passion or love of food and cooking?
Well, I always wanted to write.
Okay.
And I learned to cook at home because, well, there were so many of us and we needed to get food done. And what was there to write about? Well, I tried writing these cute stories that you put into Calling All Girls and into all those magazines. Mm-hmm. I knew nothing about that stuff. And I'd keep getting rejection slips. I would write and write. And I had a stack of rejection slips really, really deep. But then when I started writing about food, mm-hmm. I knew what I was talking about because I kind of knew the basics of what food is. You know, all different areas of food, of the, you know, food.
Yeah. What was the first thing you offered or submitted that you were like, oh, this might be, I love writing, this might be where I'm supposed to, or what I'm supposed to be writing about?
It kind of evolved into that. I always wanted to take, when I I graduated from Floodwood High School in 1952, I looked forward to coming to UMD.
Okay.
And so what do? You know, well, girls either went into nursing or into home economics or into teaching. Sure. And there was no time for foolish things like learning how to write. Mm. And so I was, you know, I wanted to, I actually did some mail order classes. Okay. And learned to write in that way. Okay. But that was kind of fakey. And but anyway, I went to UMD as a home ec major, and I learned how to do tailoring and hat blocking and all those things, which I haven't done since.
All that's coming back.
Yeah.
You know.
I suppose.
You know, things always come back around again. So.
Well, I don't know if hat blocking will come.
Fair.
You learn how to make a hat for yourself that fits. Yeah. No, so I went to UMD and I was disappointed in the home economics department, which doesn't exist anymore. Sure. Yeah. Which is too bad because people really know. They need to teach their kids how to cook. I learned in 4-H. I learned more in 4-H than anyone would have learned in my home ec classes.
Big plug for 4-H right here. So
yeah, and I won trips to the state fair. Sure. You take different projects each year. Okay. And my first project was dairy foods. Okay. And I thought, well, what can I do? And I realized that there would be an opportunity to win a trip to the state fair. Mm. And so in dairy foods, I thought, okay, what I should do a demonstration. And I did a demonstration. I put together one that I thought would really go. It was egg salad sandwich and an eggnog. Okay. I had to get ready for it, you know. There was a combination. Yeah, and so the original place that I gave it was in the home economics department at Floodwood. Okay. And there were the judges sitting right over there, and they were really stern, and they had, you know, they had all these questions to ask. Jeez. But I was making this egg salad sandwich, and I wanted to be sure that the egg was well boiled, so it wouldn't. You know, it wouldn't be runny. Well, I cracked open the egg, and the egg yolk bounced out and rolled down the counter and fell on the floor. Oh, I got you quick. And I went down, and I picked it up, and I put it back in the bowl, which, of course, right away, that
5-second rule.
Yeah, 5-second rule. I hadn't heard of that before that.
Ask the judges, don't you know about the 5-second rule?
Anyway, so they nixed me for that. Oh. But the following year, I thought, I've got to really do a little better job. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, I will do a cheese souffle. Wow. Because in the meantime, I had learned to make cheese. Okay. I didn't use that cheese. I used, you know, whatever cheese I could get
Yeah.
from the store.
Yeah.
But I made a cheese souffle, and I really practiced the demonstration on the hay mower and on the hay rake as we were behind, going back and forth in the fields behind my dad.
Yeah.
And so I really practiced that demonstration a lot. I knew how to do it. I didn't have to make many of them.
Sure.
But I had to learn how to talk.
Yeah. Because in addition to the cooking was the presentation
Right,
part, which
yeah.
is also judged and
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you have to be able to, and so you wait for the questions that they have, and I expected questions, and I had learned what they would be, and so I won a trip to the state fair.
Wow.
So that was fun, and then after that and the state fair was great fun.
Yeah.
Because you went down there and you were in the 4-H building.
Yeah.
Sleeping on, there were just triple bunk beds all over the place.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
I don't think it's changed much over time.
Really, I haven't been there lately.
It's been a while, but I used to be involved with the 4-H program too, and I can remember going up into that upper area and all the bunk beds stacked up.
Yeah.
When was the first time someone paid you to write something, or you made money as an author?
Well, I really didn't make any money as an author. I actually, before I graduated, and that's when I got married, and Dick was into geology, and he got a geology fellowship to go to. Well, actually, no. Actually, he was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And we went to England.
Ah. Okay.
And that's where I learned to write, but it wasn't anything I got paid for. And then when we came back, he was getting his PhD his PhD at Stanford.
Okay.
And he got his master's at Missouri, and so I followed behind, and we had 3 little kids, and when I got back from Finland, he got a PhD, he got a Fulbright to go to Finland.
Oh, wow.
And that was the big deal.
Okay.
I'm trying to get all of these things in order here.
Yeah.
And when we got to Finland, I was really curious about how people lived there and what they ate,
Sure.
and what was their usual everyday pattern of living.
Did you discover growing up in a Finnish family that was it very familiar, or did you discover it was?
I really wish I would have asked more questions, but I learned a few words from my grandma and my parents.
Okay.
And when I went to Finland, I was curious about those words. And Dick, of course, was at the university all day long, and I was if you go to Finland or any of the northern countries, as you go into the fall, it gets darker and darker.
Sure.
And by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was pitch black outside.
Sure.
I was going absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I sort of have a problem with light deprivation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so then I called the university, or the United States Information Center,
Okay.
USIS,
Okay.
and asked them if there was anything I could do, because I really would like to get out and meet people.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it with 2 little kids at home. He was 1 year old.
Yeah.
And so then, they set me up with the Martaliitto,
Okay.
the Martha League of Finland.
Okay.
And they would fly me all over the country.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. They had an amazing network of small planes, and they did regular flights into all kinds of all over the country. Anyway, I got to visit lots of homes. Every weekend I was gone somewhere visiting a home, and I would ask them, what do they eat for breakfast? What was the bread they make? What was their favorite food? What do they do on holidays?
Yeah.
And so I had all these notes, which is really, to me, it was just a gold mine.
Sure.
To be able to go around. And I discovered the difference between East and West Finland.
Okay.
Western Finland had a Swedish influence.
Oh, sure.
And the Eastern Finns had a lot of the Karelian and the Russian kind of foods.
Sure.
So that was fun. And I thought, well, I've got to put this together.
Mm-hmm.
And I started writing the Finnish cookbook.
Okay.
It wasn't called that at the time.
Okay.
I just started writing.
Yeah.
And my when we got back home from Finland, Dick went to Stanford, enrolled at Stanford because he wanted to get his PhD there. Mm-hmm. And we drove into town, and there was Sunset Magazine. Oh my gosh, I would love to work there because I had always liked the idea of working for a magazine.
Yeah.
And I asked them if they would like a Finnish cookbook, and they said, it's not the kind of thing they usually do.
Okay.
But they helped me to find a publisher.
Okay.
And I did send the manuscript in, and it was accepted.
Yeah. And published in 1964?
1964.
So the Finnish cookbook, published in 1964.
It's got a different dust jacket now, but it's still the same book on the inside.
And how long after you were in Finland? I mean, how many years went by between when you came back and then you published it?
Oh gosh, I haven't really figured that out.
Pretty close in time?
It's pretty close in time, yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is 64. We came back from Finland in 1960.
Okay.
And it takes about 4 years for a book to come through.
Yeah.
Well, this book is still in print, which is still amazing.
Yeah. And don't forget, we have the other book.
Oh, that's the end. That's the last one I wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you did write for a number of magazines. So.
I did in between.
Okay.
And I called them all potboilers.
Okay.
You need money. When you're raising a family, you need money for this, money for that.
Yeah.
Lots of different things that need money. And every time I got either something for writing an article or something for advance on a book, I did like 32 books altogether, counting these two. Wow. And I used the advance for something that we needed.
Okay.
It was either an instrument or it was music lessons or a trip somewhere, and so that was where it all went, and it was well spent, I think.
And how does that process work? Do they contact you and say, "Hey"?
No, I have to contact them.
And with an idea.
I would get a whole bunch of ideas. I'd write the letter to the publisher or whoever it was, and I would list a bunch of ideas that are possible for the magazine. Knowing you realize that every magazine has its own style. Sure. So I would do that, and then they'd say, "Well, I'm really interested in that or in that or not,"
Mm-hmm. So. And when did you enter into being on television? Well,
it was. Julia Child had bought a copy of the Finnish cookbook.
Oh, wow. Did you know that she had bought a copy?
No, I didn't know. I had no idea. But I used to belong to the organizations that food writers belong to. Okay. And I met her there. And that's when she told me that she bought the Finnish cookbook, and she loved it.
Wow.
So that was really nice.
Very high praise.
Yeah, high praise. Yeah. And so we, then she called me and asked me if I was interested in doing. In the meantime, I did a bunch of other books like Scandinavian baking and all that. So she picked out things that she liked from there.
But she called and invited you to be a part of the program.
And so did Julia. So did Martha Stewart.
Wow.
But it was so funny when.
Do they call you personally? How does that? I don't know how this works.
This happened when.
Bea, I have a show. You might have heard of it, and I'd like you to be on it.
No. It was this way. I had gone shopping one day, and I was gone, and my mother-in-law was visiting, and she just adored Julia Child. And Julia called while I was gone, and said, "Yes, Bea there, I would like to speak to her about coming on my show."
It's a pretty good impersonation.
And my mother-in-law got so excited. I got home, and she says, Peach, Julia Child called. She sounds just like she does on TV.
Sounds just like Julia Child.
Yeah. So I called her back, and she was very nice, and she just said, "Would you be interested in doing a show with me?"
Yeah.
So would I be interested?
Right. Rhetorical question, right?
Yeah.
So, were you still in California?
No, we were in Duluth by then.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
So what brought your husband's work? What brought you back then from
Well,
California?
after he got his PhD at Stanford, he looked all over for jobs, and he got lots of offers, but he decided to come back to Duluth.
Okay.
And in Duluth, I mean, the offers were much more money than what he got in Duluth.
Yeah.
But he wanted to get back here, and the geology department was just really good at UMD.
Sure.
And we came here, and
Okay.
that's when,
Okay.
that's how he decided to come here.
Okay. And was the home ec department still there when you came back to UMD? No, it was gone already.
It was gone. Yeah. No, and I offered to teach at UMD, but I didn't have the right credentials.
Yeah.
I was either undereducated or overqualified for every job I tried out for. It's a crazy spot to be in.
Yeah. So how then, the story that some people know and know well, but others don't know at all, is your connection with Gino Paolucci and being the inventor of the Gino's Pizza Roll,
Right,
which everybody knows. So how
Well,
did you first get connected to Gino?
When we left California, it was like I felt like I had been at a funeral. I was so down. But the editor-in-chief there said, there's some guy by the name of Gino Paolucci, I can't quite say his name, in Duluth, and maybe you'd want to go and interview him for a job. And he has Chungking.
Okay.
And so I did. I went and interviewed him for a job, and got hired on the spot.
Oh, wow.
To be food technology, to develop ideas.
Yeah.
But the very first day I was on the job, they said I had to go to a cutting. No, cutting? What's a cutting? I thought they got together and chopped, celery or something.
Yeah.
And they ushered me to a door, and there was a big, long table full of foods. Well, Gino wanted to start a new restaurant chain called Chop Chop House.
Okay.
And they were supposed to have frozen foods prepared, and they would just be able to reheat them and then sell them.
Sure.
Well, as Gino went along tasting these, he was madder and madder and madder, and he was throwing chicken against the wall because he didn't like it at all. What they had, it was the guys in the food development, kitchen. So he pulled me to this, and I stepped out of the place because he was using really foul language, and I thought, oh, he'll be so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I'll just save his face. So I stepped out the door, and he came and he grabbed me by the arm and he said, "You're gonna get a bath in this along with everyone else. You're such a hotshot home economist. Tell me, what makes good food?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, you have to start with good ingredients, and you can't wreck them."
Yeah.
He had no answer to that.
Oh, interesting.
Well, they were trying to start with the cheapest possible
Sure.
ingredients.
Yeah.
And make it as cheap as possible and as fast as possible. And it's exactly the opposite of what I
What you
what I had just told him. And he said, "Oh," and he turned around and left. So then, I thought, oh gosh, I can't stay in this rather stark, cold kitchen.
Yeah.
And all the food development guys, they're all guys. There were
Interesting.
no women in there. The only women they had were secretaries.
Sure. Yeah.
And they all learned to smoke,
Yeah.
drove me nuts.
Yeah.
And so I just asked if I couldn't just do food development at home and count my hours and turn my hours in.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, that's fine.
Really? You were like the first hybrid worker.
Yeah.
Decades before it became a thing.
And so they would call me when they wanted something.
Okay.
And I would, one day they called me and they said, Gino is fixing to sell the Chungking brand to R.J. Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants to keep the egg roll technology.
Okay.
Turns out the egg roll technology was invented by my brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so anyway, fine. Can you come up with some new fillings for egg rolls?
Okay.
And so I came up with about, 50 different flavors.
Yeah.
And macaroni, cheeseburger and Reubens and every sandwich I could think of, I thought we could put in there. And about 6 of them were pizza flavored.
Okay.
And I had it by a certain date. I had to have them all done and frozen.
Yeah.
And ready to go. And so his pilot in the private plane picked me up, and we took this box full of frozen egg rolls that were
with pizza filling,
with pizza fillings, and flew to Capitogama, where he had a beautiful, almost like a resort, a home. And I put on my white jacket and went into the kitchen and kept writing little labels for whatever was inside these egg rolls. Mm-hmm. And when it came to the pizza flavored ones, he says, "Gino's pizza rolls. That's it."
On the spot.
That's it. That's all he wanted.
Okay.
And so then I called him later and I said, do you think I could get 25 cents an hour more? Mm-hmm. Oh, don't ask us for that. It's too much. We can't afford that.
Have you ever done the math on how that worked out for Gino? Probably pretty well.
Well, I looked it up on the internet and found out he did very well for him.
So when you were, experimenting at home in your kitchen, how did you then, because then you had to figure out if it was going to work in more of a mass production.
Well, that was their job.
Okay.
That was their job.
Oh, interesting.
I just came up with the idea.
Okay.
And I just gave them a list of ingredients, how much I used for 12 or 24.
Interesting.
And they would pick it and increase the volume.
How long was it from having him taste one on like
Capitogama?
Thank you. To like, oh, this is a thing. This is a hit. People like this.
Oh man,
it
seems like it didn't take very long.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And he put everybody onto that, and they were working on it real hard.
Okay.
And they had all kinds of problems, like, the way that they make these pizza rolls, actually it was the egg rolls. They'd extrude the dough, the skin.
Yeah.
And then the machine would drop the fillings in there, and then the cover went over, and they would cut them up. So they had, there was a certain amount of, but they had already done that with the egg rolls.
Right.
So it was just changing the egg roll technology to filling with.
Was the outer fairly similar?
Well, they had, I think they just folded it over.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you remember when you first saw it and saw that product in a store, and you were like, I came up with that?
I never really think about that.
Yeah.
I had too many other things on my mind.
Moving on to the next of your many books or something like that.
Yeah.
How long did you work with Palucci's?
Well, it wasn't very long. It was about 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You changed the food world in that short period of time. So I know that this is a point I have to admit I'm not a foodie. So do people probably feel like they have to share that with you, given your resume of cooking and awards.
People are always making apologies. Oh man, I love anything that someone else makes.
Yeah. It is always better if somebody else makes it. That's true. But I know you're in the James Beard Hall of Fame, and I know that's a big deal. So how did that come about?
I have no idea. Well, I had been in the meantime writing articles for the Star Tribune.
Okay.
And Lee Dean was the editor, and she was also on the James Beard board. So I think she had something to do with it.
Oh, interesting. I was just listening to a program on public radio that the Michelin folks are in the metro now, looking at different restaurants. So I don't know if Minnesota has been a hotbed of the food scene over time. It sounds like they're trying to get themselves there.
Well, they probably have been, because they don't really brag about themselves.
Well, it's very Scandinavian.
It is, yeah.
So, given your strong Finnish background, do you participate in the FinFest activities?
I have.
Okay.
Especially when they're close by.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you a St. Urho Day person?
I think that's the dumbest. That's the dumbest day. I mean, it was invented here, and my husband Dick thought it was wonderful. He wore all the regalia for it and everything else, but not me. No.
It's funny that as mayor, the first time I went to a St. Urho Day festival, somebody pulled me aside and they said, "This is made up. It was in the 1950s, and it came from someone in our area."
Yeah, in northern Minnesota, and I think let the Irish have their day,
Well, Finns get to have their day as well. So
yeah, well, they're jokers too.
Now I know in December you were down in the cities participating in part of the Historical Society put together a big display of Brown Julia Childs.
Yeah, they did, and her kitchen was there, and
oh wow,
and they had a whole bunch of books and everything.
An exhibit in the
Historical
museum,
Society.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you had an opportunity to be part, I think, of a panel or a discussion?
They asked me if I would come and be on the panel discussion.
Okay.
And there was Eleanor Osman, who had been the food editor at the Pioneer Press, and not Lee Dean was not, but there were about 4 of us.
Okay.
And also the Finnish consul, Elaine Kamala.
Oh, I don't know if it's the same person, but I got to meet somebody from the consular office at last year's FinFest, which was really fantastic. I mean, it's neat that Duluth gets to be the home of that. And I always think it's interesting when you go to other parts of Minnesota, having a strong Finnish population is not. They think of Germans or Norwegians or Swedes, but it's really, northeastern Minnesota, northwestern Wisconsin that has, really
a lot of Finns, and Finns are more from the northern part too. I mean, the different settlements are, pretty highly Finnish.
Yeah, and I remember something you said earlier. This is many years ago. I had the opportunity, one of Duluth's sister cities is Petroslavosk, and that's in that Karelia region.
Yeah,
and so
it is, yeah.
many, the border changed
Yeah,
so many,
yeah.
many times over history.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes the Russians were on the Finnish side or the Finns were on the Russian side, and it
Well-
wasn't always a good thing. So.
Well, it depends on the powers that be
Yeah.
are on the other side, but a lot of the people are hurting.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of them are moving to Finland.
Even then, and this was some 20 years ago, the line to the Finnish consulate office in Petroslavosk to get permission to go to Finland was quite long.
Yeah,
And I have
yeah.
to imagine it's probably only gotten
Yeah.
worse
But
over time.
Dick
so.
had a lot of travels in Petroslavosk and in the northern part of Russia.
Okay,
And because he was able to go there
sure.
with the credentials that he had,
Yeah.
so he even was able to smuggle Bibles into Russia,
Interesting. Okay.
which was he would have gotten killed for that.
Yeah.
And he really.
Wow.
He really got, and he took the original letter from the mayor of from Duluth
Okay.
to Petroslavosk,
Oh, really?
to the Petroslavosk mayor
Okay.
to ask about
A sister
setting up
city.
the city.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. A little bit of history with one of our sister
And I can't.
cities.
You weren't the mayor at that
No.
point, but it was one of the mayors.
Well, I think it must have been around Gary Doty or John
Could have been.
Fido or somewhere.
It could have
in
been
that
one of
area.
those two, yeah.
Based on when it started. So.
Oh, by the way, we had somebody's house, the restaurant, and guess who was the first person that we hired? Gary Doty.
Oh, really?
He was our cook.
Was he a good employee?
Oh, beautiful. Great. Yeah. No, he was good.
I see him on occasion. I'll make sure he knows that.
Yeah.
He's remembered as being
Oh,
a good
yeah.
cook.
He was just a great guy, and they had so many good stories. My brother-in-law, Jack LaVoy.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he was the manager of the place.
Oh, interesting.
And so it was
funny.
a lot of laughs.
Yeah, Duluth has all of those great connections. So.
Yeah.
Well, as we draw to a close, we have 5 questions we ask of every guest. I can see you're preparing yourself.
Okay.
A couple are food related, so and these are the same questions everybody gets. So, what is the best place in Duluth to get pizza?
Your own kitchen.
Oh, that should not be a surprise. Is pizza something you enjoy making?
We make it every Friday.
Really?
And Greg is our pizza maker.
Okay. You don't see off screen is her son Greg, who, by the way, noted inventor with a couple different things that we have that he has come up with, one of which for fidgeting will be helpful for me. So, donuts or ice cream?
Am I supposed to choose between the two?
Yeah. That's the hard part.
Yeah, well, I remember spud nuts, which you never get anymore. We used to get spud nuts at the state fair.
Okay.
And they were delicious. Can't get them anymore.
Okay.
But I would go back to that right away.
All right. Another state fair memory.
Yeah.
And that also feels like something that somebody could bring back. Do you have a favorite Duluth event that you look forward to every year? We have so many big signature events.
We have a lot of events. It's hard for me to remember.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be the Rhubarb Fest as it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That comes up.
Yeah.
It's really changed a lot, but
Yeah.
we used to really have a great Rhubarb Fest.
Yeah.
And that was brought into Duluth by Steve O'Neill,
Sure. Yeah.
who discovered a Rhubarb Fest in Minnesota. And he came back to First Lutheran, and he says, "Can we do it here?" And I said, "Yeah, let's just do it."
You know, it's interesting. You talk about how it's changed over. I mean, I remember it being in the basement of First Lutheran, and then eventually sort of expanded out onto London Road and a little bit of Leif Erikson. And of course, now the last couple of years, it's been over
It's
at
been
Asbury.
ever since the COVID thing.
Yeah. But
And things haven't gone back.
yeah,
Like,
different feel than it used to have.
yeah,
but, you know,
right, yeah.
still going. Okay, do you have a favorite view in Duluth?
Right out our bedroom window. We are we're on the 5th floor of the view right near UMD.
Oh.
And we get a view all the way,
yes.
all the way to the bridge.
Yeah.
And I remember that bridge, the honking of the horn,
Yeah.
from the time I was at UMD as a
Sure.
as a student.
And it's pretty neat on the right days when it bounces over the hill and you can hear it up by UMD, clear as day. Yeah. I live on the hillside, so the other day when the first Salty came in, I happened to be getting ready to come here to City Hall and heard the horn. I looked up and I knew the first Salty was coming.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. So
Yeah. Well,
neat.
we can just look right out. In fact, Greg likes to take the binoculars and read the names on the ships.
Oh, yeah.
So they're coming in, and we
Sure. Yeah.
enjoy that. Yeah.
Where do you, what's your favorite kind of touristy thing that you tell people about or take them to when they come to visit you in Duluth?
I think just the views, views.
Skylight Boulevard,
Yeah,
Anger Tower,
yeah.
go down by the bridge.
Such a beautiful place. Get down to the lake and.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot to take in. The other day, I was volunteering with something, and everybody was really cold. We all kept telling each other, "But we have the lake." It always makes everything better. So.
Oh, the lake has been kind of cold lately.
Yeah. Well, Bea, thank you so much for your time. It's been a treat to get to visit with you and hear more about your story. A couple of your books that you brought with. I'm honored that I got to be the third of 3 mayors to have a Bea Ojakangas Day in the city of Duluth.
I didn't realize
and they're all 3 different days, so you have to keep track of them.
Yeah, I hadn't really looked at that or compared those, so
that's fantastic.
that was neat.
Well,
Anyway,
thanks everyone for joining us, for joining Bea for another episode of Welcome to Duluth, and we'll see you again next time.